Welcome back. Glad to have you here. Today, let's talk about the stress of staying stuck in your business. And this is a big deal. This is something that I know I have dealt with. And in a recent survey I sent out to my readers of the Grateful Friday newsletter, this was overwhelming response that I got. And one of the questions that I asked them is, how stressed are you about your business right now? And the majority of the answers that I got back were stress is becoming an issue, or stress is causing business and health issues. And that's saying a lot. That really is telling me that there's a lot of women out there who are feeling stuck about their business. And most of the time is they're stuck about the direction to take or how to take what they know and move forward with it in a way that's strategic and intentional, allows them to build simplicity and sustainability. There's so much information out there and we all consume it that I think a lot of times we get ourselves confused and we forget, again, who we are as an entrepreneur. We forget our goals and what we're trying to accomplish. So let's talk today about what are the effects of stress and how does it impact us and where does it come from? And then also, what are three simple steps, or what are some simple steps we can take to combat that stress and to fight back against it so we're not so constantly stressed? Stress is an issue, and stress, we need it. We can't live life without stress. Life would be very boring. Our bodies need stress. But the problem is that in today's society and what we do as entrepreneurs, that stress that is just kind of humming along the background that we often need skyrockets. It gets to the point where it's never relieved. And that's where it starts to cause issues. I know it has in my life. I know it's in the women that I've coached with. And I definitely can see that happening in my survey responses. So, where does that stress come from? Unfortunately, this stress doesn't surprise me. The source of the stress sometimes surprises me, but not always after all this time. Think about that, the fact that growth is hard, change is hard. So many of us are introverted, we're shy, we like our routines. That's why we like to play the support roles that we started our businesses with. And so stepping out into our calling, into the skills that we're growing and developing and cultivating, stepping out into that can be very hard. Growth is hard. Think about when you were a kid or if you had children, think about the growth pains they went through. Growth pains are hard. When I was young, I was taller than most of my classmates for a long time, and my legs hurt a lot of the time. I know my sister, who's even taller than I am, she had growth pains. Growth is hard, but growth is healthy. And growth is what we need to do to keep moving forward. One of my business coaches says all the time, your customers want the evolution of you. They don't want you to be stuck in the same position because soon they're going to outgrow you and not be able to work with you. They want to see your journey. They want to see how you're growing, how you're changing, how you're stepping into that growth. One of the biggest compliments I get from my clients, and this it's taken me a while to understand what they meant, but they've said they watched my journey of clarity. And that's one reason why they wanted to work with me, because they saw me work through the growth. And it hasn't been easy, and they know that. It's okay to be honest with the fact that growth is not easy. But if you don't take the time to grow, evaluate what's changing, understand it, and because you can either fight against it, which I did for a very long time, for too long, or you can move with it and learn from it and grow from it and mature from it. And yes, even though we are women in our 50s as entrepreneurs, there's plenty of things that we still need to grow and mature in as entrepreneurs. The other thing is that there's information overload. There's information everywhere. You can get it on social media, you can get it in the email, you can get it on YouTube, you can get it in all sorts of different places, Pinterest. And after a while, like we talked about in the last episode, we're consuming, trying to find answers, trying to understand why things aren't working, why things aren't as fulfilling as they used to be, how to manage this growth and this evolution into a higher level of service or a higher level of calling and just a next step of growth in our business. And so after a while, all of that information is exhausting and our brains are overloaded. And then that stress of what our brain is going through starts to impact our health and our energy level. And all of that in turn impacts our business. So, stress is an issue that we need to learn to address, and information overload can cause that level of stress. And I think through all of that, that we're resisting change. We're also, because we're resisting change, a lot of that too, I wanted to mention is that we are in an instant society. We get instant news, we get instant help through the drive through. We can buy things on Amazon and we're depending where you live, get it the same day. We can buy our movie tickets right now and go to the theater and go watch a movie. We have a microwave that gets things done in seconds. And so we think that we're going to get instant results through our growth journey, through our clarity journey. And it doesn't work that way. Growth takes time, it takes effort, it takes being honest with yourself and dealing with some issues that are coming up. It also takes getting feedback. And all of that is hard. The third thing where I think that stress comes from is that because we're expecting instant results, we're expecting to have a quick understanding of what our next step is. And because we're in information overload so much of the time that we are stressed out and overwhelmed, that we have forgotten to listen to our own gut instinct. We've forgotten how to listen to what we know to be true. And because we have learned skills, we have an established business, we have grown a business, but now we are expecting to, through all the information we have, there's an expectation that we're going to follow this coach or that coach. And this coach is saying that steps XYZ are the only way to go. And so we try to do that. And then another coach says, no, it's ABC. And so we try to go do that. And at that point, we get so lost that we've forgotten what we know. We forgot what we've learned. Sometimes we've forgotten what we've prayed about, we've got answers on because everything that is coming at us has covered that up. So we've forgotten how to listen to ourselves and we've forgotten to listen to our gut instinct because a lot of times you can be listening to a coach or somebody on social media and you know right away, if you're honest about it, most of the time you know right away, oh, yeah, this is a great person to follow. They have great information. This is really a good fit for me. Or, oh, you know what? There's some red flags here. I need to really filter this or I need to turn away completely. And we have forgotten a lot of times how to do that. So those are three areas where I think stress really throws us a loop. That growth is hard and we resist change, information overload, and we're consuming more and more instead of stepping back and evaluating what we're learning. And we've forgotten how to listen to what we've learned and to our own gut instinct. And I do think, especially as women, we do have an intuition that we often ignore. So, what do we do then to combat all that stress? There's a lot of things we can do, but I want to talk to you about three things specifically. And I will talk about this until I'm blue in the face. And you've heard me mention it before if you've been on many previous episodes, but we have to cultivate a habit of rest, of stillness, of sometimes retreating completely back away from the business. Because until we can retreat, until we can step back and quiet the noise, we're never going to have time to think. We're never going to have time to hear that still small voice that we've been asking for wisdom and discretion and discernment from. We're not going to hear our own voice. Our voice is going to get lost in the clutter and the noise. And there's different ways you can cultivate rest. And I think you need to, when you're in that point where stress is causing your health and business issues, or you can tell it's becoming an issue, this is an important time to cultivate a habit of rest. In a recent episode, I quoted the artist Bansky, and he said, well, if you're tired, learn to rest, not quit. And if we don't learn to rest, we are ready to throw in the towel. We're emotionally drained, we're physically drained, we're spiritually drained. And so we're tempted to quit. But what we need to do is develop a habit of rest. One of the best things you can do is pick a couple things you can do during the day for, even if it's just for 5 minutes to build upon to start with. But take time to just take a few deep breaths, brew a cup of tea, go outside and rest. Sit down and journal, write a letter to somebody, pray, something, just something that you can build upon. One of the most important things I've done is to walk my dogs. I walk every morning, again, unless it's pouring down rain, which happens to do in Oregon from time to time, but also sitting down and having my morning devotion and making sure I'm taking time to journal. Those are three things for me each day that make a huge difference in helping me cultivate rest. You know, we talk about retreat. Retreat means to take a strategic withdrawal from the situation. It is a military term. And so when you're talking about retreat, sometimes it's for survival and you're getting away, but a lot of times you're moving back and consolidating your resources and your assets so that you can present a strong front. And a lot of times we forget to retreat from business. One of the best things I did several years ago was to implement a no social media Sunday. And so I do not get on social media on Sundays. I don't post. I don't send newsletters. I don't read other people's content. I need a complete brain break. And I'm getting to the point where I'm barely on Saturdays either. And it is such a gift to my brain. It stops me from consuming. It stops me from sending a lot of dog reels to my friends and my sister, so they get a break too. But it gives our brains a break. It gives us a time to step back. Now that we're in the garden season, summer is here and my garden beds are ready. I'm starting to plant. I'm going to be spending more time outside, which is such a gift. I need that more and more. If my business is causing stress or my indecision or my confusion about what's going on in my business, for me, that means it's time to go outside. It's time to take a break, step away from the computer, and cultivate rest. Rest, again, does not necessarily mean more sleep or taking a nap or the Calgon commercial, Calgon, take me away. It is stepping back and doing something else that is different from my business, something different from the everyday, so that I'm thinking about something different. So I'm concentrating on something else instead of always staying focused on my business and how confused I am in that moment. And I get it. If you're there, I get it. I was there for a long time. And again, clarity is a journey. So there are times I'm still stuck in that. I still find myself stepping back into that confusion when it comes to what do I do for a marketing goal? What do I launch next? What product or service do I need to create, or do I need to focus on what I already have? So sometimes that stress does come out, and there's some big decisions to be made in business. But now that I have learned a habit of rest and I've cultivated it into my day, into my week, into my month, it is much easier to pull myself back than it was years ago when I first recognized this habit in myself. So cultivating a habit of rest is so important. I have a pin on Pinterest where I talk about the importance of retreating, of stepping back, of calming our thoughts. And I had somebody just comment the other day, just, this sounds great, but then you go back to normal. So why do you even bother trying in the first place? And my instant reply was, in my heart, it was like, oh, I feel so, I've been there. I get what you mean. But my reply to her was, it means you need to cultivate it. You need to cultivate a habit of rest. Because if you're just doing it once a month or once a quarter, that is not nearly enough. And it can be small, and it absolutely needs to be simple. Because if we try to make it a big, huge weekend retreat, we're not going to do that. Very few of us. A lot of us are going to put it off and put it off and put it off. But if you can consider a retreat, a 5-minute tea break, an hour off during the week to just go walk outside or go explore a museum or go to your favorite used bookstore or antique stores, which we have a lot of here in our town. That is a rest. That is retreating. That is stepping back and taking a strategic withdrawal from your business. This is I think one of the biggest assets that you can create in your arsenal to combat stress, especially related to your business, is cultivate a habit of rest so that you're learning to rest, not quit, not continue in overwhelm, but to rest and calm and be still. The second thing I think we often need to do, because of information overload and because we have forgotten how to listen to what we know and listen to our own gut instinct and intuition, is we have to get back to basics. Because getting back to basics, sometimes we have to do that because it has been covered up by all the information, by all the workshops, by all the books, by all the coaching. And if we do not get back to the basics of our who, what, and how, it can be so easily covered up by what everybody else is saying. So go back and revisit and create somewhere a place that you can revisit on a regular basis to remind you of your who, what, and how. Who do you serve? What is the problem you solve, and how do you solve it? Those three things are key for just about everything. And if you can keep that somewhere, a place where you can refer back to it often, so that when stress is coming in, or when you have a coach that's trying to tell you to do something different, you have some red flags and your gut saying, no, this isn't right for me, pull out your who, what, how, and remind yourself of what you know. That what you know, that who, what, how is going to evolve over time. And that's fine. That's expected because what you learn about your client's problem today, as they grow, you're going to grow. And it's great to travel with them and continue to help them in their journey of solving the problem that you like to solve. But reminding yourself of these core elements can help combat a lot of stress and also help you remember to listen to your intuition, listen to your gut, to certain things you know you need to pray over about in your business. And the other thing is, I want you to take action because once you remember who your who, what, and how are, then it's time to take action on those three things. And there's a lot more to it, but these are seriously just the core basics of things that you need to know. And once you have remind yourself of that, then it's time to take action. You need to take action on what you know. And by taking action, you're going to get clarity. You go, oh, you know what? I tried that. That didn't work. So let's take a look at why it didn't work. And what do I need to pivot? Do I need to tweak it a little bit? Or this is just not fitting me at all. So I need to move on to the next thing. When you take action and you're finding clarity, it is an experiment, but you're taking that next step forward in faith, knowing that taking action, you're going to get some clarity, you're going to learn something new, and you're going to learn to know what the next step is. When we take action, too many times we're taking action into step 10, trying to get that growth, through that growth phase as fast as possible. But you need to take a step to step 2 and then to step 3. When you jump to step 10, you are going to stress yourself out. You're not going to have clarity and you have to backtrack anyway. So save yourself some time and just take the next step and take action. And then you enter a cycle. One, I want you to learn how to pause, to cultivate rest. And then you're going to assess where you're at. You're going to go back to the basics. Who do you serve? What's the problem you solve? And how do you solve it? And then you're going to create a plan and take action. And then you're going to execute that plan. And then you're going to go back to pause. You're going to evaluate the results of that action, of executing that plan. And then you're going to assess again, okay, where am I now? What worked? What didn't? Then you can go back and create another plan of action. And then you're going to execute it. And you enter this cycle. And that's the clarity cycle for entrepreneurs. And I call it the PACE method to business clarity. And it's something we enter through in and out of all the time. So when you know that and you can recognize what step you're in, it's going to also help reduce the stress because you're taking action and you're being strategic about how you use your time and your energy. And you're going to be strategic on how you create that plan, execute it, pause again, take a break, take a breath, you're going to evaluate it, assess it, and then you're going to create the next action plan and you're going to execute that. So knowing what stage you're in is going to help you reduce stress. So just a quick recap. The 3 areas of stress that I think that I've seen in myself and the women I coach with, and especially through this survey response, is that growth is hard. Growth can be confusing, and that's okay. That is part of the journey of business. It's part of the journey of finding clarity in your business. Without it, we'd be really bored. We wouldn't be challenged, and we wouldn't be motivated to find out what our next step is. 2, information overload causes a lot of stress, and it causes us to be consumers of information, not implementers of it, and not creating for our business. So maybe it's time to go on an unsubscribe mission. Maybe it's time to start unfollowing people or muting them for a while until you get back to the basics. And 3, I think stress comes from that we've learned how to listen to ourselves, learn to know what we know, learn to listen to our gut and our intuition, and learn to pray over certain things that are really confusing, and ask for wisdom and discernment in that area. And we have to be still enough and quiet enough to hear that voice and hear that response back. How to combat that stress? I want you to learn to cultivate rest. And if you can you can put on your calendar for each day that you're in your office, say, I am taking a 5-minute tea or coffee break. It's a perfect place to start. It does not have to be complicated. I want you to start simple, and then you grow from there. 2, go back to basics. Make sure you can clearly articulate your who, your what, and your how. What people do you serve? What problem do you solve for them? And how do you solve it? If you need help with this step, I would invite you to take my business clarity audit. You can find that at selastudios.co/audit. And I ask you a series of questions about the 4 areas of business. And it's going to ask you to rate yourself on these different sections. And you're going to learn, get some insight on where you are stuck in your business and where maybe it's your who, what, how, maybe it's another part of your business that you're stuck in because they all do work together. And if one is not clear, you're going to feel stuck in the other areas as well. So go visit SelaStudios.co/audit if you need help determining where you are stuck in your business and what direction to take it in. And the last piece is I want you to take action on what you know. Once you take that audit, once you answer these questions, take action on something today. At the very latest, tomorrow, within the next 24 hours. Just a simple step. It doesn't have to be complicated. Keep it simple, but take action on it so that you are moving forward towards clarity. And recognize that you are in a cycle of the pause, assess, create, and execute. And understanding that you are going to be moving in and out of this cycle all the time will help you understand that this is a journey. This is not a one and done thing. And there's always something new to learn, something more to tweak, a better way to serve our clients. And that's the beauty and challenge of entrepreneurship. And there is beauty in the confusion. And I know that's hard to see right now, but I can tell you looking back, going through my own clarity journey, there was incredible lessons I learned there. There's incredible things I learned about myself, about my business, about the people I could serve and people I knew I could help. There's some incredible lessons to be learned there that I would not have learned any other way. And I think when you look back as you go through your clarity journey, and you look back at all the stress that it caused and all the things that you learned and the people you met along the way, I bet you're going to look back and realize that you learned a lot as well, things that you could not have learned any other way. So stress is hard. Stress is difficult. Stress can be overwhelming and it definitely can cause health and business issues. So if you are there, you have my empathy. I've been there. There's still times I am there, and I have learned ways to manage that stress better and better. There's still a lot for me to learn, but there is a way back. And starting simple and starting by taking action, going back to your basics is a great way to start. But most importantly, over everything and anything, learn to rest, learn to be still. That is one of my core messages. That's why I have the word Sela in my business. Sela is an invitation to pause, to rest, to take note that what is in front of you, what is going on around you is important. So I invite you today to start combating stress by having your Sela moment of just pausing, reflecting, and just taking a moment to rest. I'll see you next time.